A young man puts his life on the line with one unbelievable jump.
You're jumping for your life here.
An acrobat teeters on the edge of a cliff in a death-defying handstand.
This guy's a daredevil. This guy is super fearless.
And some amateur firebugs risk fate in a daring, fiery stunt.
If you don't take the right precautions, you can actually burn yourself to death.
Whether fact, fake, or fluke, we'll dissect these amazing web videos and break down the science behind them. Right now on Superhuman Science.
Do not try what I'm about to do right now.
In a dangerous stunt, American Josh Connolly is about to meet a moving car head on.
Bring it!
Can he clear it?
The kid clears the car by about a centimeter.
Physically, this is possible.
He makes cheating death look easy.
That's how you jump over a car, back on, baby!
So easy, you wonder if it's real.
There are a lot of videos out there of people jumping over cars. Some of them might actually be real.
Yet on this clip, our science experts are skeptical.
The question is, can a person jump high enough to clear a car and stay in the air long enough for the car to pass under them?
Professional basketball players, when they dunk, jump about a meter off the ground. I don't think this kid's a professional basketball player, and I really don't think he's able to jump that high.
This stunt is even more suspect because it's a lockdown camera shot with only Josh and the car in the sea.
So if you stop right here, it almost seems as though his legs are as wide as that car. This is a classic cut and paste job.
Still unsure if it's real or not? Watch what happens next.
This video here is clearly faked.
My favorite part of this fake is where you stop the camera right here and he doesn't have the lower half of his leg. Where did it go?
Far from superhuman, this is super digital editing. This popular web clip even shows how to fake a video just like this.
First I had the smaller car pass by, followed by the larger car, which stopped just off frame. Then I had Josh play out the scene, which looked like this. Josh waiting for the car, Josh pretending to jump over the car, and then finally getting hit by the car.
But there are real car jumping stunts on the web. Another viral video features American extreme gymnast Aaron Evans. He runs towards the speeding car, and he flips head over heels and makes it.
The crowd is going wild. This looks like he legitimately jumped over the speeding car.
Aaron is well known for pulling off moves that defy gravity.
The stunt that he does in front of the audience, now that says something. That's real.
So the question now is, how does he do it?
As he's approaching this car, he's running at it, and so he has an extra bit of speed that will help him clear the car faster. He's also not just jumping straight up, he's flipping over, which gets his body in a more compact position higher in the air.
It helps too that Aaron is a strong jumper. He's trained himself to hit the ground with an unusually high level of force, making his leg muscles react like coiled springs. And with a sports car speeding right at him, liftoff is everything.
For him to clear this car, he has to give himself enough hang time for the car to pass under him, or he's gonna be in the hospital.
Based on the video, the car is about 1.2 meters tall and 4.5 meters long. It's driving right at him at around 45 kilometers an hour. To clear it, he becomes a projectile. His running momentum toward the car and his high, tight flip help him create a perfect parabolic arc to clear the car in just 0.8 of a second.
You're jumping for your life here.
This is very dangerous.
And when the stunt is real beyond a shadow of a doubt, we'd call that superhuman.
The jumping and spinning and rolling, that verges on superhuman.
So on one hand, we have an amazing superhuman stunt. And on the other hand, we have a super fake.
We move next from jumping over speeding cars to a high-altitude handstand that'll make you dizzy. In Norway, 1,100 meters above this fjord, acrobat Eskil Rornigsbakken is about to risk it all in a dangerous balancing act.
This is real life, this is no game.
Clearly, he's not afraid of heights. That's for sure.
He goes up on 2 hands, with no net, no harness, and no fear.
This guy's a daredevil. It's pretty scary to think of him teetering over the edge and balancing like this.
If he falls from there, he's dead.
While this seems unbelievable, Eskil says there's no reason to doubt his abilities.
To all of you guys who says green screen, Photoshop or such, you should reconsider.
And our experts agree. This is no fake or fluke.
There are a couple of these shots that could be manipulated in visual effects, but he's really doing this.
Where and how Eskil performs his handstand is terrifying, even insane. But there is a method to his madness.
You see, he carefully stacks the chairs in a certain way. For the very last chair, he angles it against the back of the other one to give him a bit of extra stability. And then he can go up into the handstand, knowing that the structure below him isn't going to move.
After that, it's a high-altitude test of strength, balance, and control.
He's able to keep his center of gravity consistently over where he's able to place his hands.
His life depends on his ability to balance his center of mass over his hands.
The centre of mass, or centre of gravity based on measuring weight, is more commonly thought of as the balancing point. It's the single spot where an entire body is distributed evenly in all directions. Generally, it's the midsection, although the exact spot shifts when a person is upside down. Eskil commands masterful control of his centre of mass and pushes his limits with an even bolder death-defying stunt.
It's a drop all the way down, so if you fall over the edge here, there is no way back.
This time, he balances on a pedestal with 2 wooden blocks.
One shot that really shows me that it's real is where the camera starts from below, tracks all the way up and around his body, and then you see his body, the stand, and the cliff and the ground all in the same shot.
When he's on the edge of the cliff here, you can see that he spreads his legs out instead of having them go straight up in the air. And that's to help him balance, just like if you were on a tightrope walking across a canyon, you'd spread your arms out.
These blocks have just enough give for him to make micro-adjustments quickly, and for him to pull off one move that seems impossible.
The most dangerous part is right here where he's actually going from 2 hands to 1. You see, he kind of pauses for a bit, maybe struggles. He has to make sure he can get that center of mass right over the other support.
Eskil's balancing act sets him apart, but does that make him superhuman?
What's superhuman is his ability to focus on what he's doing.
This guy is super fearless.
I am really impressed with this guy. I think he is superhuman.
From a fearless high-altitude handstand, we shift next to a daring, fiery stunt. And later, a Herculean strongman plays tug-of-war with a fire truck and wins. And the Queen of Scorpions spends a month with thousands of potentially deadly roommates. Fire and water don't mix. But that doesn't deter these American daredevils outside Baltimore, Maryland. They plan a risky and fiery wakeboarding stunt.
And our original goal, I guess, was to light a wakeboarder on fire and for him to do like flips and awesome stuff.
But their knowledge of fire stunts is a little lacking.
We had no idea what we were doing.
They begin with some dicey fire experiments in a backyard pool.
So the first time you're lit on fire is pretty nerve-wracking.
This is really dangerous unless you know what you're doing.
If you don't take the right precautions, you can actually burn yourself to death.
So how is it possible for these amateur firebugs to set themselves on fire and dodge disaster? Our experts examine the science of playing with fire.
It is possible to set yourself on fire, and here's how. there are such things as flame retardant gels.
Skin protection is paramount with any fire stunt.
It's a gel that you spread all over your body, and as it heats up, the gel hardens and becomes resistant to flame. So you can expose yourself to fire covered in this gel and not get injured, not get burned.
Still, even this gel is not foolproof.
It's very important when they prepare for this stunt that they actually coat the body very well.
If you've ever been putting on sunblock and then you realize the next day that you've got this little patch on your arm that you didn't get, and so that little patch has turned pink, it's the same thing with the flame retardant gel.
You can get singed at any part that isn't adequately covered.
Skin burns are classified by depth. First-degree burns damage the epidermis or outer layer of the skin. Second-degree burns penetrate deeper into the dermis or the second layer of skin. Third-degree burns destroy all skin layers down to the subcutaneous tissue level. And fourth-degree burns extend all the way down into the muscle and bone.
You know, it's not going to take very long for his skin that is unprotected with this gel to experience significant second and third-degree burns.
Fortunately, our amateur stuntman survives with only a few minor mishaps.
Like I'm not burned right there.
I'm surprised you stayed with it as long as you did.
I think he burned fine in the wind.
After tests at the pool, they head to the docks for warm-ups before lighting up their waterboards. But their flashy plan out on the open water is snuffed out.
If they go too fast, they blow out the flame, but if they go too slow, they sink into the water.
The velocity required to wakeboard will not allow the flames to stay on.
So they shift their stunt to a fiery human torch jump off this 15-meter high cliff.
We had just enough gel to do one more stunt. We couldn't afford any practice lights.
It's a feat even professional Hollywood stuntmen would approach with caution.
He really does not have very much time to get off that cliff and into the water for safety.
At sunset, the designated burning man engulfs himself in flames.
There are a lot of dangers with this, including singeing your lungs or breathing in carbon monoxide, which is actually potentially worse. And that's because if you can't get oxygen to your cells die, so do you.
Finally, he jumps and makes a very hazardous move.
And that flip in the middle of the air is the most dangerous part of this. Fire engulfs his face. The heat before he hits the water must be just unreal, unbelievable.
Oh my God!
You okay?
Yeah.
So is this human ball of fire superhuman? Our experts say this is more of a fluke.
This was a dangerous and reckless stunt.
This is not a superhuman ability. This is just super gutsy.
From daring tricks with pyrotechnics, we turn to a stuntman whose work drives him up the wall. German gymnast Raphael Armbruster jumps off buildings, scales walls, and takes falls for a living.
Quite frankly, to the untrained eye, he looks like Spider-Man. He looks like Spider-Man to me.
Raph is a professional stuntman with a passion for parkour, a recreational sport which involves free running and jumping.
His flip and fall off the building is really quite remarkable. There's a certain amount of kinetic energy that he's carrying with him, and the goal here is to dissipate that kinetic energy.
He doesn't just smash into the ground, he instead tucks himself and rolls, so that he can get rid of the momentum that he has when he jumps off the building.
He falls and rolls in order to allow that kinetic energy to decrease over a short period of time, really minimizing any potential injuries.
Biology and physiology are also at play. It takes exceptional strength, agility, and mind-body connection.
He's able to tolerate, from a biological standpoint, more trauma than most people. He has a certain level of pain tolerance that I don't think many of us have.
That's exactly how he's become a master fall guy.
When you see him falling down the stairs here, he's rolling, knows exactly where he is relative to the stairs, and he's able to keep his head elevated away from the stairs.
If you're knowledgeable about physics and physiology of your body, you can actually control how you fall and do it relatively safely.
When he's not falling down, he's climbing up, way up. This stunt is called lane climbing, and Raf holds the world record for it.
The lane climbing is different than just scaling up a wall. He's between two different walls and can use his arms and his legs to stabilize himself and push himself up.
You might say lane climbing is a game of angles.
He kind of keeps his legs and arms angled downwards, and that lets him push instead of pull on the wall.
Raf takes advantage of Newton's third law of physics that says every force or action has a reaction of equal force in magnitude, but in the opposite direction.
He's actually creating a force that pushes back on him. And by pushing against both walls push back on him, and that's what helps keep him centered between the walls.
So are Raf's abilities superhuman?
Is this superhuman? I think it is.
From a feat that has people climbing the walls, we now switch to a venomous stunt that can make skin crawl. In Thailand, a woman moves into a glass room at a shopping mall for a month, and she brings along 5,000 roommates, each notoriously lethal.
This is a potentially fatal stunt.
I can't believe she did it. I can't understand why anyone would want to do that.
Kanjana Getkow is known as the Scorpion Queen. For 1 month, she lives up to that name, eating, drinking, and sleeping with scorpions 24 hours a day.
Everything she does, she's surrounded by them. She can't get away from them.
She feels quite comfortable even sleeping with these things around, which is, mind-blowing to me.
After surviving 33 days, she emerges from her glass cage to set a new world record for the longest duration living with scorpions. Yet she does pay a painful price. She was stung on average once every 2.5 days and appears unscathed. Our experts sort out how she did it.
Scorpions can kill, but there are over 1,000 species out there, and maybe only about 25 of them are actually capable of fatally harming a person.
In order for her to survive those stings, she must either have an anti-venom with her, or these are scorpions without a fatal venom.
There are no deadly scorpions that are native to Thailand. So what she has instead are scorpions that are still venomous, but not deadly.
It also helps that Kanjana is a professional scorpion handler. Still, no matter how comfy she is with her 8-legged friends, they are wild and unpredictable.
Now, could you survive non-fatal venom 13 times in a single day? I'm not really sure you can. Can you survive non-fatal venom 13 times over a month? Absolutely, as she has shown.
She's obviously very comfortable with these creatures, and they actually seem to be pretty comfortable with her.
While this scorpion sleepover might have earned Kanjana a world record, our experts can't quite call it superhuman.
Unless you're allergic to scorpions, this is really more of an annoyance than a danger.
I don't think that this is superhuman. I think this is a very brave woman that has become very comfortable with scorpions.
They were crawling all over her. Ugh.
Finally, from the Queen of Scorpions, we turn to a feat of super strength by a human tow truck. In the USA, a Connecticut strongman tests his might. Behind him, a fire truck. In seconds, the truck moves, and he's pulling more than 20,000 kilograms.
Usually, we have tow trucks to actually pull vehicles like this.
Wow, this is a big truck, and this is a strong man.
He's Derek Poundstone, one of the strongest men in the world. Derek's feats of raw strength and endurance are jaw-dropping. He also pulls a 13,000 kilogram tipper or dump truck, this time by hand.
There's no faking it here. This is difficult.
So how does he perform these Herculean tasks?
So obviously this man has a great deal of muscle mass.
His arms are bigger than me. They're just these massive things.
Not only does he have the muscles, but he knows how to use them efficiently to accomplish these impressive feats.
It starts with his pulling stance. His forward lean allows him to achieve the maximum force against the truck.
Just as rowing takes a lot of leg strength, this does as well. If we slow this down here, you can see this is exactly what I'm talking about.
The hardest part is getting the truck to start moving.
It comes down to two things. One is the weight of the vehicle. The other one is the interaction of the tires with the ground.
That interaction causes static friction, which resists him from pulling the truck. Once his applied force overcomes the maximum force of static friction, the truck moves. Then his linear momentum is transferred to the wheels, and angular momentum helps him keep it rolling.
The key for him then is just to keep going.
The demands these feats place upon Derek's body are enormous.
All of a sudden, you are consuming a great deal of energy. To be able to consume that energy, you need oxygen. He is well trained in breathing appropriately to maximize his oxygen intake and to maintain the stamina necessary to move this truck an extended distance.
So does every weightlifter have the potential to be a strongman like Derek?
You can't practice for these just by being in the gym. So just lifting isn't gonna do it for this guy. He's actually out flipping tires, pulling cars, lifting heavy objects.
But the big key to Derek's feats is genetic.
Clearly, he comes from very strong stock that allows him not only to build that volume of muscle, but also to have the bones that can support that volume of muscle, the heart to support that volume of muscle, and really, he's got to be able to handle pain.
There's nothing average about Derek. His strength and endurance are otherworldly. Derek Poundstone is superhuman.
If you ever get stuck in the mud, he'd be a good guy to have around.
That is a lot of horsepower.